Welcome to TWIN BUSCH Germany, your competent specialist since 1997 in professional vehicle workshop equipment. With a corporate headquarters in Germany and 9 other branches in 7 countries, as well as over 40 sales partners worldwide, we are one of the leading manufacturers of vehicle lifts, tire balancers, and tire mounting machines. Hello. My name is Tweenie, and in this video we will show you how to assemble your TWIN BUSCH TW436P park lift correctly. The lift is delivered as a large package in which the 2 platforms, 4 columns and small parts are located. These 2 platforms are the heaviest components of the lift and cannot be moved by hand. This is why we will lift them individually with an engine crane in this video and put them aside before the assembly. Before you start the assembly, you should ensure that you have enough space to move and remove the platforms. In order to fit the columns, crossbeams and platforms together, we use 5 standard supports, each with a load capacity of at least 150 kilograms. In addition to the parts from the main package, you also require 10 liters of hydraulic oil, which you can order as an option. Let's begin by removing the outer package. In the package you will find the heavy main platform with a hydraulic cylinder. Underneath are the small parts, posts and the other lighter platform. Remove the top platform to get to the small parts. Hang the platform on the crane in place under tension. Now you can loosen the transport frame. Use a 21mm nut. After removing the 4 bolts, you can lift up the platform. Take care not to damage any wires under the platform. Pull the transport belt upwards on the rear side to get a slight sloping position when lifting the platform. This will help to remove the platform easier. The first platform is needed later, so we put this aside on the supports. Let's look at the small parts. Remove the oil drip trays and the rest of the parts. Here are the drive-on ramps. And the foot protection bars. Here is the packet for the motor unit. Open this package, as there you will find the instruction manual. Please read the manual carefully. Now we open the control box and the box with the small parts. Then the wheels of the mobile kit, if it has been ordered. And now the safety catch bars. and the steel rods for the safety release. Now that all these parts have been removed, you can loosen the transport frame. Remove all the screws and place the posts aside. This is the main post. You can recognize this because of the bracket for the motor unit. When you have removed the last post, you can then take out all the remaining parts from inside the post. For instance, the jacking support, which we later lay between the platforms. Then remove the cross beams which later carry the two platforms. Please take note. On one side of the cross beam you can see wires. This is important to know as the beams are different. We will get to this point later. Finally, we have the steel roll-off safety plates, the ball joint for the release, brackets for the anti-roll-off plates, and the 4 covers for the posts. After removing the rest of the packing, we have to turn the lower platform. For this, please use wooden blocks before removing the last bolts. Now we can turn the platform. 2 people are better for this. We now lift the platform using a crane and place it on the supports. Remove the trailer to make space for assembly. Place the columns roughly where you want them later to be. Take care that the main post with the bracket for the motor unit is at the front left-hand side. In the next step we fit a cross beam to the post. It is better to support the posts with blocks if possible. Let's go back to the wires on the cross beam. You can tell which is the right cross beam because of the marked area on the back of the beam. The wires should be near the main post. You should fit the cross beam to about the middle of the post. Then the safety catch bars. There we remove the nuts and washers from the thread. Now we can fit the safety bar through the slider and the post. You will need to use a little force to get the bar through the slit. It is not necessary to push the bar too far into the post, 2 or 3 slits is enough. If you push the bar too far you will have to manually lower the platforms later. We will show you how to do this later. Let's take a look at the post top plates. Later we will be fixing the steel cables to these plates. Remove all the bolts from the top plates and place them in position at the top of the posts. Then replace all the bolts. Be sure to fit the right plates to the right post. When standing, the plate holes for the steel cables should point inwards to the middle of the lift. Alternatively, you can check the plate holes with the opening on the crossbeam. After fitting, the holes should be in line. Fit the bolts from the outside and the washers and nuts inside. After fitting the bolts, you can now fit the nut and washer for the safety bar. The first post is finished. Repeat this process for the opposite side. Fitting the safety bar and the post tops. When you are finished at the front, you can repeat the steps for the back posts. Align the posts, fit the cross beams, mount the safety bar and post tops. The cross beams should be locked at the same height to enable the easy fitting of the ramps. After fitting the posts, make yourself some space for the next step. Next we place the platforms with the supports between the posts. Take care that the platform with the hydraulic cylinder, from this view, is at the back and the one without at the front. Now let's cut the cable ties which hold the steel cables inside the platforms. This is important as the steel cable has to be removed and pushed through the platform. After cutting the ties, push the cables through the platform. To do this, remove the nuts from the cables. We push the short cable through the opening at the front right of the front platform. Then repeat with the long cable, and then fit the nuts. Look for the right cable, and push it through the hole, as in the last step. Repeat this at the left-hand side. Now we can stand the posts and connect the crossbeam to the platforms. As mentioned earlier, it could be that the beams are too high to fit under the platforms. Then we must lower the lift. For this you have to manually release the safety catches. Remove the protective covers from the cable safety mechanism on the cross beams. Using a tire lever we press the plastic wheel towards the post and at the same time we pull the release lever. This is the side on the main post. Before connecting the posts to the beams, remove the wires for the slack cable mechanism. Using the crane you can now push the platforms under the cross beams and put them in place. We fix the backside first. Let's open the box of small parts. There you will find 2 rubber chocks, the stud bolts if you want to fix your lift, the bolts and pins for the mobile kit, 4 bolts and nuts for mounting the safety release, the hydraulic hose, 4 screws and spacers for mounting the motor unit, and the bolts for mounting the cross beams. Take these bolts out. Using the crane, lift the platforms and remove your support, then let down onto the crossbeam. To mount the crossbeams with the platforms you will need the bolts and the end plates. Fit 2 bolts and end plate to the cross beams and tighten to the platform. Fit the washers and nuts to the inside. Repeat this for the other side. After loosely tightening the nuts you can then lower the other side onto the crossbeam. We are going to lift the second platform in the middle so we can place it on the crossbeam correctly. Repeat these steps as in the first side. When the second side is finished, we can stand up the posts on the right side. Here we also remove the cover and lower the safety to the next stage, so the platform fits underneath the crossbeam. We now remove the wires as shown previously. Now we can place the platform underneath the beam and lower the platforms individually onto the beam. Now follow the previous steps and fix the platform to the beam. In the next step we tighten all the bolts with a wrench and electric drill. Here are 8 bolts for the platforms and 4 bolts for the post top plates. After you have tightened all the 28 bolts, you can now start to lay the steel cables. Before we go on with the assembly, let's take a short look at the finished steel cable guidance. The steel cables are laid from the hydraulic cylinder and the left platform to pulleys at both ends of the platform, leading to the post top plates. When the hydraulic cylinder pulls together, all 4 steel cables lift the platform simultaneously. Remove the protection cap from the hydraulic hose on the main platform. Loosen the cylinder using a lever. This makes it easier to pull out the cables. Let's start with the front right cable. Thread it through the pulley and the wheel for the slack cable system. Put the cable through the top plate hole and fix it with a nut. Fit the delivered screw to secure the steel cable and fix with a nut. Let us now deal with the longer steel cable on the other side. After pushing the cable through the crossbeam, you can mount it like the other side and fix with a nut. Repeat these steps and mount the cables as shown before. Let's take a look at the safety release. Remove the rod connector, nut, and the spring washer from the release lever. Now remove the nut and washer from the left side threaded rod under the platform and replace the nut. Then replace the washer and middle piece from the release rod. Now we place the release lever in the hole and fix it from inside with the nut and washer. Now you can connect the long release rod to the release lever. And now the release on the other side. This is done almost the same way as the other side. Remove the middle piece, nut, and washer. This side is mounted a little differently. After replacing nut and washers on the lever, you must now mount the middle piece to the lever first. And then to the rod. Now we can fit the release rod. To fit the release rod through the crossbeam, you have to remove the ball joint. Check that the nut is far enough screwed out before pushing through the guide. The rod should not be bent and should move with ease. Now refit the ball joint and fix to the lever on the crossbeam. Now let's adjust the ball joint on the other side so that the lever is straight. Finally, fix the release mechanism and the ball joint with the delivered screws. Now let's fit the short rod. Take care not to damage or bend the release system. Make sure that the short rod is mounted behind the release mechanism. Finally, tighten all the screws. Repeat all steps for the rods on the other side. Now we can look at the control box. Carefully remove the bag with the multi-cable and limit switch. Open the control box and remove the screws and cable ties. Open the bag of the multi-cable and limit switch. Now we can mount the control box on the main post. Before you mount the limit switch, the arm should be adjusted. Loosen the screw of the limit switch arm and pull out about 2/3 the length. Tighten the screw again and loosen the screw for the arm angle. Turn the arm about 90 degrees upwards and tighten the screw. Now loosen the screws at the back of the limit switch and mount in the post as shown. Use the pre-drilled holes and fit the screws from the inside. Push the limit switch wire through the hole in the post towards the control box. Please note, the following electrical installation should only be done by a qualified electrician. The wires should be connected according to their letters or numbers. Let's go back to the motor unit box. Carefully remove the motor unit from the box. To mount the motor unit you will need the screws which can be found with the small parts. Mount loosely a bolt, spacer and washer at the top of the motor unit. When mounting, make sure the spacer and washer are separated. And again on the other side. Now let's hang the motor on the post bracket. Now fit the bottom bolts as above. Tighten all the bolts. Now we can fit the oil hose. Make sure the hose connection is tight. Remove the nut from the hose which goes to the cylinder and fix to the post. Now you can tighten the hydraulic hose. Use another wrench to tighten the hose to avoid twisting. Here is the other side. One wrench holds the hose and the other tightens. Let's now lay the wire to the electromagnetic release valve. These are also connected according to the numbers. And now the motor wire. These 3 wires are normally not numbered. The blue and brown wire are the power source for the motor, and should be connected to W and U. The green and yellow wire is for the earth, connect this to the bracket. Remove the screw from the earth bracket and fit the wire. Tighten all the plastic wire nuts underneath the control box. When all wires are fitted, you can close the control box. Let's fill the oil tank. Unscrew the chrome ring and remove the coil. While you have it open, you can check if the valve is closed. If it should be open, you can close it by pressing inwards and turning right. Now open the tank lid and fill 10 liters of hydraulic oil. Fill to the max line on the tank. Don't overfill. After filling, replace the lid and put the magnet coil back together. Let's fit the foot protection bars. Use the screws fitted in the platforms. Be careful to mount them the right way up. Let's continue with the wiring. Connect the multi-cable to the control box. This is also the cable for the slack cable system. Remove the nut from the multi-connector and push the nut over the wires. Then you can push the wires through the hole in the platform. Push the wires back through the nut and tighten from the inside. Connect to the power source and test your lift. Turn on the main switch. Make sure the emergency button is not active and press the up button with the bypass button together. This will bypass the slack cable system. This is needed because the steel cables are not yet tight, and the limit switch is not fitted. The first time you raise the lift will take a little longer as the oil must fill the cylinder. Now let's fit the rods for the release system. Remember to keep the ends of the rods in line. Try to keep the rods tight as this will affect the release system when they are loose. Here is the second side. Let's continue on this side with the wiring. Lay the wires from the crossbeam through the guides to the multi-plug. Here the second wire. Now you can connect the wires according to their letters. Don't be alarmed if numbers appear twice. In this case it does not matter which A or B you connect. Connect the rest of the wires with the multi-plug for the other end of the platform. Before we go on with the assembly, we should lay and fix the wires under the platform. Now we can concentrate with the platform ends. First we tighten the release rod and lay the wires under the platform. Use the delivered cable ties to fix the wires to the platform to avoid damage. Let us lower the lift. Open the tank lid to let in air. Pull the release lever and let the lift completely down. Doing this will bleed the cylinders of all air. If the lift does not lower itself, this could be because one of the safety catches is active. In this case, press the up button and raise the lift a little. If it still doesn't work, please check the safety catches and release rods that all is okay. If something sticks, you should grease all moving parts as this will help. After lowering, refit the tank lid. Now we can adjust the steel cables and safety bar. For this you should slightly raise the lift. For the basic adjustment, you should fix the safety bar about 12 cm from the top of the bar to the post top plate. Tighten the nuts. Now let's look at the cable length. Hold the threaded cable end with a wrench and tighten the nut. You can check if the platforms are level with the spirit level and adjust the nuts accordingly. Always start with your spirit level in the middle of the platform. Make sure you have enough thread for the second nut. If you don't have enough thread, adjust the nut on the front right hand side. Then place your spirit level on the crossbeam and adjust accordingly. Repeat this for the other crossbeam. Now your lift should be level. Replace the 2 nuts for the steel cable and tighten. Refit the covers for the crossbeam. Now you are almost finished with the assembly of your 4-post lift. Let's fit the oil drip trays and the jacking support. Finally, we can fit the anti-roll-off plates and the drive-on ramps. 2 of the anti-roll-off plates are to be mounted at the front of the lift and 2 at the back, where the vehicle is driven on the lift. The ramps should only be mounted when the lift is completely lowered, and only used to drive on and off the lift. Your lift is now ready to use. Be sure to tighten all nuts, bolts and hydraulic hose fittings before working on your lift. We wish you a great time with your Twin Busch lift. Enjoy, and thank you for choosing Twin Busch.